Storytelling is a secret weapon behind top performing content. If you want to captivate and keep people's attention, mastering this skill is a non-negotiable. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my top 5 storytelling techniques that are going to level up your content. By the end of this video, I guarantee that you're going to know exactly how to make videos that make your audience stick. But before we start, let's address the first question. Why should we even care? Everyone's listened to a good story at least once in their life. Stories are the glue that make information relatable and memorable. And here's exactly what I mean. Imagine that you're in a cold room. You're getting ready for a presentation. The room is packed full of people, but it's so quiet and you're standing up the front. You've got sweaty palms because you're about to deliver the biggest project in your life and the spotlight is on you. You take a deep breath and you say the first thing that comes to your mind. Dead silence. Your stomach drops because you've just forgotten what you were going to say. You can hear people moving around their chair as they wait for you to say something. Luckily, you've got a backup plan. You thought ahead and you got a USB with your presentation on it that you got tucked away in your back pocket that you can whip out at any moment if you ever got stuck. You check your back pocket. Do you want to know if your USB is in the pocket? Well, that's the power of storytelling. Like I said, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how to do it for yourself. Now let's talk about the first technique, and that is controlling the story. Great storytelling isn't just about what you say, it's about control. The pacing that you use, the emotions that you bring up, the tension that keeps people glued to every word that you say. You can think of a good story like taking a hike. When the hike is too easy, it gets kind of boring. When the hike is too hard and you got too many hills, well, that's kind of difficult, people quit. But get that balance of the hills and the valleys, that's what keeps people going. But how do you even structure a story to keep people's attention? Well, I'll get into that in just a second, but first, make sure you join my newsletter below. In it, I share weekly insights in 3 minutes or less to help you grow your content. So make sure you join and let's keep going. The next thing I'm going to talk about is your story structure. The old and more traditional way to structure a story is to go beginning, middle, and end. That's pretty vanilla, and unfortunately we live in a day and age where people just don't have the attention span anymore. Content now has had to adapt because people no longer give you the same time to build up a story. You now have to qualify to get their attention and then deliver the content straight away to make sure that you keep your viewers engaged. If you're not able to capture viewers' attention within the first 5 seconds, they're gone. You don't get a second chance at this. That's why we've had to flip the script, start with the end, and build up. If you think about movies like John Wick or Dune, they don't start with a long backstory. They just jump you straight into the action. From there, they build up and they explain how everything happened. So here's an example. Instead of, I trained months for my first marathon, you start with the end. At mile 22, my legs shut down. I couldn't walk anymore. But then this happened. You start where the stakes are the highest and then you work your way back to the beginning. But now that we understand how to structure a story, how do we actually get people to listen to our story? Let's move on to technique number 3, and that's making your stories more interesting. A bad story just tells you how everything happened. There's no real interest, it's not engaging. A great story transports you, makes you relive the experience, and you feel it for yourself. That means making your audience see what you saw and felt. So here's a bad story. The crowd was so excited. Here's a better example. The crowd rose to their feet, they erupted, and they cheered me on as I crossed the finish line. There's 5 secret sources you can add to your story to really boost the flavor. The first is your location. Where are you? The second, what are you doing? The actions pull people in. The third, what are you thinking? What's your internal dialogue? The fourth, what are you feeling? How does that event make you feel? And the fifth is dialogue. What was said and how was it said? Who was saying it? But even if you do make your stories more interesting, how do you actually keep people engaged? Let's move on to my next storytelling technique, and that is rehooking. Here's the problem. Most people lose their audience halfway through the story. And why is that? It's because you don't keep opening up new loops. Loops are when you create a new question or a new thing your audience wants to know, and then you work towards answering or solving that new loop that you created. If you're really good, you can actually do this for a very long time. You've seen it done in great movies, books, and speeches. As soon as you get a new answer, a new question appears. The secret here is to use the but, then formula. Let me show you an example. I thought I had this all figured out, but I realized I missed the most important thing, and then it wasn't so bad after all. The but creates the curiosity, it causes the problem, it makes you want to solve it. And then you solve it using and then. All you have to do is make sure that every time you close a loop, you open a new loop and you will have your audience engaged the whole way through. And why is that? Well, the brain hates unfinished stories. The more curiosity gaps that you create, the longer you can keep your audience hooked. And even better, as you close these loops, the audience starts to trust you more because they see you answering all their questions. But there's one last way to really hook your audience and make sure they never forget your story. This last one makes your story unforgettable, and that is the unexpected. If you think about your favorite movie or book, chances are it had an ending that was unexpected. Here's an unexpected ending. I crossed the line, I finished the race. But what was the real lesson? Well, it actually had nothing to do with running at all. It's where you make an audience think that your story is going a certain way, and then you change it. That's what makes your story memorable and something that people want to share. Now you've got all the tools to make your stories memorable or even unforgettable. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter where I share weekly insights in 3 minutes or less. If you want something more, you can schedule a meeting with me. I can give you some personalized feedback on your content and help you grow faster, but I only have a few spots a week. Now check out this YouTube video. It's going to help you on your journey, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.